Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie, and welcome to Living Solutions. We are doing a segment. It's the first of many segments with Lale, is Kahuna Lale. He's going to be joining us periodically to do a segment called Touching the Earth. And I'm going to let you go ahead and kind of give us an idea of what the theme is going to be. And then I'll just chime in here and there. But go ahead and start. Welcome to the show.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to be part of the show and hope that my contribution is valuable. I wanted to say a little bit about myself and where this is all coming from and what my little segment is about. I have a lot of interest in the experience of energy. I wanted to, since I was quite young, wanted to really look at what energy was because I could see different kinds of energy in the world that I just accepted as the way the world was, and that I could see that energy. But I would talk to my friends and things, and they didn't know what I was talking about. And so it was just part of, kind of growing up. And when I later was an adult and went out into the world, this was something that was always really kind of important to me. And eventually, I decided to study art and in college. And so as an artist, that's really kind of where my art went as well, is to really look at the world from a different kind of perspective than I was seeing everybody else's view as artists, and trying to put that experience into my art. And I went to Vietnam. I was drafted, and I went to Vietnam as a consciousness objector. So it means I was out in the field quite a bit, helping with wounded and different things that went on in Vietnam. And again, I saw a lot of energy within the wounds and with the dying, people dying. And so after I got back and went to school, that was really kind of what I started studying. It's like more of the spiritual elements of the world and the energy. And so I studied those kinds of things as an artist, but then later as an anthropologist.
Did you, I wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about that when you were with UCLA studying in anthropology? I understand that you were associates or schoolmates with Carlos Castaneda. Is that right?
That is right. When I say schoolmates, I mean, I was there when he was there as a teacher or, as a lecturer. It wasn't that he and I were friends or anything, but I certainly knew of his work and met him a few times. But that was mostly because I was on the same track. So I was really interested in what he was studying, his papers at the school that he eventually turned into books that were published.
Yeah, because from what I understand, he worked, well, I read his series, but he worked with the Mexican shaman, Don Juan Mateus, I think is how you say his last name. And then you worked with a shaman up in the White Mountains. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and who he was?
Yes, well, in my life of looking at the different energies and being in school studying this, an anthropologist needs to go out into the field, and that's what I did. So there's lots of stories about that, but essentially I went into the field with the Western Shoshone in the White Mountains. And as part of the group that I was with, they were looking at going back to nature. They had lived mostly either on ranches or on the reservation itself. And so they wanted to follow a traditional path. And so part of them leaving for a time, and it turned out to be eventually 2 years, uh, we went through the White Mountains, looking, searching for food and places of energy and communication with the earth. And yes, so one of the leaders of the group, who wasn't with us all the time, but came occasionally and showed up, was a shaman who then taught me a lot about the earth and our involvement, our inner life and our external life with the earth. And eventually, you know, I came from this culture of Los Angeles culture that you know, I really had no connection to just living out in nature. And so that became really something that I had to develop
Mhm.
a life, you know, less than worrying about it, just a life of really trust and a life
Mhm.
of thankfulness. And so when I was first there, all I had was my backpack, but there was no, you know, we had to go find food, we had to find water, we
Right.
had to find shelter. And I was worried that, you know, well, where are we going to find it? Where are we going? Who knows the way? Is there a map? You know, those kinds of things.
So you went
And
into this like completely not prepared
that is
for
correct.
the
We,
living, and it was like what, 2 years or something, right? You lived 2 years.
yes. And so that was the idea. The group I was with was going back to their traditional ways, and and I wanted to be part of those traditional ways. My idea was, well, what actually is the experience that they have of the world that is different than what I have of the world?
Mhm.
My idea of the world didn't have a lot of trust in it. So I had to provide in, you know, my past, if I was going to go camping, I was going to take, you know, my camping stuff and I was going to be part of it all. They wanted to go with nothing. And so in order for me to even be with them, because I wasn't one of their culture, I was an
Mhm.
outsider. I had to do what they wanted, and that was, hey,
Yeah.
come prepared, come open, come with nothing. And that's what I did. And I
Got
had
it.
to live that life of trust and being then finding out eventually my inner self was really the same as my outer self, in the sense
Yeah.
of it was the nature that I was in.
Right.
And there was then became a trust between me and the other people and nature. And when I say nature, I mean the mountains, the water,
Mm.
the trees, the grasses, the animals, all of those kinds of things. So I learned that those parts of us, we are actually a part of. We're not just a part of, they are a part of us, and we are the same. It is the inner life and the outer life is really not just connected, they are the same. There is a way for us to understand that life that
Mhm.
is makes everything much more beautiful. And in fact, that's what kind of helped for me to start thinking about
Mhm.
touching the earth, because of this idea of beauty. And so eventually, when we were in the mountains, you know, I would never worry about things like water or food, because they just were there. They were provided for us. We would walk through our days with thankfulness and trust, and walked in beauty, which is what the Navajo path is, of walking in beauty in nature and being one with who who we are in our life. And our life contains all these other elements, all
Right.
these other
Yeah.
things in the world, that has all these different energies that create us, and we create them.
I have so that's a very good intro, I think, into understanding the beginning of this series. So I understand this is going to be a series, right, called Touching the Earth.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you want to tackle this, and why that resonates or should resonate with people for uh, the Earth, and why we're here at this very, scary time for many people who are looking at, you know, how did we get in this mess? How does this going to impact my life? How's my life? Maybe their lives are being very impacted right now, and how this can be a resource for them. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So back when this began for me, I was young. I was in my 20s, and back when this all began, our culture, our life, our civilization really was already disconnected from nature. And a lot of the 60s and 70s, there's a lot of songs and philosophy about this. So the disconnect was already there. And I think it's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger, so that our lives don't have that touch that you would have if you were living in the forest somewhere. And but how do we do this? How is that possible in our life, in our modern uh, culture? What do we how do we do this? And especially now with all the things that are going on, it seems like a lot of angst is I'm feeling from a lot of people. Wherever we go, there's lots of loss. I don't know what to do. I'm just confused, and I don't know what's happening. So there's anger, there's confusion, there's all kinds of things. And as things are revealed about what's been going on in the world, with all of um, the things in the world, not just in our country but in the rest of the world. I mean, I'm finding out from my own looking at the news and things, that there's stuff going on that I had no idea about. I can't even understand, and it's something that is I think is throwing everybody off. And I see this as, well, in a way, this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of a good thing that we're thrown off, because now is a chance for us to be able to change our consciousness and bring something new to us that perhaps haven't really been brought up to think about in our culture. So I think
Yeah.
that a lot of Native American cultures do have these kinds of things in their life. And when I say that, I mean just a recognition of the energies in the world, the power of the directions, for example, just something simple as that. It can help to solve some of our disconnect if we start to take little steps just to bring things into our life that we may not have just been conscious of before. And
Right.
building on that, what the series is about is to help people to now start building from wherever they are, adding more in. The Native Americans, but not just Americans, there are natives all over the world that have many things in their culture to help them understand the world, to have a worldview that includes the things of nature that you are a part of. They're a part of you, you're a part of, and you can have trust and comfort in those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so the things that of the news, the things of mankind, example, those things are not the things that are going to allow you to have peace and harmony and be able to walk in beauty. I mean, I think that you can certainly live in the city and
Yeah.
and be able to do these small, simple things that will slowly but surely raise your consciousness, and then get deeper, kind of
Well,
start to go down into that level deeper.
yeah. I mean, well, touching on that with consciousness, I mean, I think a lot of people are not even aware of what that means, except they're awake and they're moving around in their life. They don't understand, like, when you say consciousness, you're not just talking about being awake in the sense of going about your day-to-day stuff. I mean, a lot of us are doing that, but they're not conscious in the sense of aware of the spiritual part of their life and how that connects to, and that's kind of what you're touching on, right? Like there's, I'm getting in my car and I'm driving to the grocery store or doing an errand, but there's also another me that's a part of this, maybe observing this, right? That it's not just the mundane consciousness that you're talking about, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. So it's a way to start taking steps to open that consciousness, for lack of a better word, that open your life in the world. That includes the other things that are in the world that you just take for granted. You take them for granted. Your senses have been, kind of dulled over your lifetime, so that you see things, but you don't see them, and
Yeah.
your world view is
Yeah.
very, very tight. It's not really something that includes a lot of things. So in a different kind of consciousness, for example, you would see all of the energy that comes to you through food. It comes to you through breath. It comes through you through living in the mountains or living near the ocean. Like, what are those things? And certainly science has looked at these things, and they see the negative ions and things like that. But it's like,
Mhm.
what else is there? Why do many cultures in the world see the ocean as mother? Like, what does that mean? How do
Mirror.
we see the
Mhm.
ocean? We see the ocean as a great place to go and hang out and just, put swim in, or take, put a sailboat in and go have a picnic around, or whatever. And it's all beautiful, and you go, wow, this is beautiful. So there's
Yeah.
that. But then how does that translate to mother? How do so
Mm.
many other cultures in the world look at it as Mother
Yeah.
Earth,
That's a
and
good
we
question.
just, build buildings on it? We use it for other things, and we don't certainly think about it as Mother. Now we may intellectually think of that through what we've read or what we've heard in music or something, but what is how do we actually develop a consciousness of that? And that's what I think we need. I think that's
Mhm.
what these other cultures have left this for us to do. They keep saying, look, this is what you need to do. And I think that hopefully through what this little series can bring is at least some kind of opening to that.
So how are you going to, so what are some of the subjects that you're going to cover in this?
So um, I want to do is I want to discover things for us all, as I have a little list that I've made here. Excuse me here. Just the four directions. Like, what are the four directions? What do they mean? What, not intellectually, but what do they mean energetically and spiritually? How do they come into our life? Discovering our map. What is our map in the world? Discovering how to seek wisdom,
Mm,
how to live in
really
the
important.
center. We talk about living in the center. What does that mean even? Or how do we do that? What is our inner GPS? how do we touch wisdom? How do we find guides? What are those, how is that,
And how to trust the guides, right?
how to
So
trust
there's a
them?
lot of
Exactly.
false prophets out there. There's a lot of people that are getting people into bad situations because they're indoctrinating them into cults, and the
Yes.
stuff
And I
that's
think what
happening
you're saying
still
too is that
in the
people
news.
want to find this.
Right.
So other people or other situations are taking advantage of people's natural sense of wanting to find something, and then they get involved in the wrong directions. So some people try to find answers in drugs or alcohol or whatever too. Those are certainly not good guys.
Yeah, I mean,
But
can you touch on that for a minute? Like a lot of people, when they're stressed, they immediately go for a drink or to get high or to do other things.
exactly,
Can you
I
talk? I
think.
mean, what are the what's the ramifications of that when you open yourself up to getting?
Well, again, you are opening yourself up to be not able to find the different in things about the energies of the earth that can help you. Instead, you're dulling yourself to those energies, and you're taking your senses and you're making them not be helpful to you as on the path that you're trying to find, the path of beauty, I would call it, because that's, I think, what we're trying to all find as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're not going to find it in these other things. You're not going to find it through overeating, or through uh, a whole sexual context that is not healthy. Many things like that we have in our culture that are acceptable almost. They try to make them all acceptable, and those are the things that we know that there's a natural part of us that is connected, but there's not the natural sense of how this is really going to help us. We need to find
Yeah.
natural, healthy things that can help us find our way, our path. And
Yeah,
that's
because those things are just distractions. That's what the cabal, the deep state, the powers that be, that's what they want to do, is they want to keep you suppressed, keep you in the survival mode, keep your energy low, because doesn't that lower your energy? So we're
yes,
trying to raise our energy up to God, to the spiritual source of all of us, whatever you may call that source, our higher selves. But when you take all the substance in, you're just lowering the energy down to your first chakra, right? And then you're never gonna have
that's
that
right.
epiphany, and that's fine with them. But for your evolution, it's just gonna be stalling.
That, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think that we're at a turning point in the world. And so
Mm.
we have right at our doorstep here a transitional period where all of the earth is moving towards something new. Some people would call it a different dimension, for example,
Yeah, like
or
5D or something, I've heard.
exactly. It's a
We're
different
ascending.
dimension, and
Yeah.
it's full of all these other things that are all possible. Well, that's all great, but we need to be, first of all, ready for that. And
Mm-hmm.
the way we're going to be ready is to start to find, like, what really is the meaning of our life? What is this path that we are on? What is real love?
Yeah.
What is beauty? What are these things? We're just being told what they are, and they're just words. We need to find them.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here on our path to do. We're here to do this, and we're here to do this with not just ourselves, but with companions, with a community, and helping each other. And those are the kinds of things that, again, the native cultures have had. And now, of course, not every one of them is that way now necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but it is possible that we can certainly learn, and they can help teach us. The old ways can teach us. not, go do Native American ceremonies or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what their understanding and connection to
Yeah.
these world and spiritual energies are. And there's certainly a lot of information out there about that, but we sort of we tend to overlook it. It's certainly not taught in schools. And
No, and sort of you're also like, well, where do I even start? Like I
exactly,
can't read a whole library of Native American wisdom. So what you're going to do in this course is the series is you're going to boil it down into the essentials to help people get started so that it's easy. It's something they can do day to day. It's not something they have to go join an organization or anything.
exactly.
They don't have to pay money or anything. So great. Okay. Well, thank you. Do you have any, we can wrap up for today, but do you have any information that we can put on the website or in the links below that can help people, like a breakdown of the different pieces so they can get ahead of,
Yes, I can put that,
okay.
I can give those to you and put them on.
Okay, that'd be super. So we'll do that, and then we'll do probably another one next week to start the series, and we'll see how that goes.
That'd be great. And I'm really looking forward to this. I've been a teacher for almost my whole life, and I I didn't think I was, well, I'm retired now, and then I thought, well, maybe, this is a way I can still keep giving
Mm-hmm.
out to the world and to other people and be a help. And because we all are looking to be on that path. And we may not consciously think that, but if you look at your own actions, your own life, you can see all the twists and turns that you've taken. And you can see that that's why you're trying to find something that you just maybe haven't found yet. And that this is a way to understand what the meaning of that is. Why haven't I found it? Because you're not creating it. You're not creating it with your own energy and
Mm-hmm.
allowing that trust that you have to have for nature and for Mother Earth, for the things that are part of your life that you don't even recognize anymore because our
Right.
culture is steamrolled over it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm looking forward to this series. I'm always learning. I always enjoy getting more information from you on that, and so I guess thank you for joining us, and we're gonna end this right now. But I look forward to meeting with everyone again on our next one, and stay tuned for more information. And this is Living Solutions podcast with Lady Sunshine and Steph, and with our guest, Kahuna Lale, who is going to be a regular and contributing to our show with more information so that we can all grow together because we're all in this together and nobody's going to be left behind as we move into a better world that we create. It is in our power, it's in our control, and we're not giving that to anyone anymore. We are taking control as people of the earth, as humans of the earth. And so this is what this is all about. We're all waking up. Thank you so much. I'm Steph. Have a great day. Bye-bye.